Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Hands on SAP Dev with me, DJ Q Macro. Welcome in the house, everybody who's joined, Christian, Ronnie, and Niels, and oh my goodness me, yes, and Santiago as well. I've got a new system. I've got a new system for monitoring the chat. Those of you who join the past couple of weeks will know that. Oh, I'll just turn this down. Yeah, I'm giving it away now. Hold on, let's turn this volume down. There we go. I wanted to do away with having a separate laptop. I've only got one screen. I've only got one monitor, one main monitor. And I don't want to sort of show the chat on the monitor because it takes up too much space. I had that Windows laptop for one session, which was fine, but it was like another laptop, like a nice clean desk. And good morning, Ian, and good morning, Swady, and Luis. Good morning. Nice to be in another Friday session. Run simple, run weekend. Excellent, excellent. Yes, I like those hashtags. So I've got now. I can't show you because the phone that I would show you with is the thing that. So I've got a little tripod that I use to hold my phone when I'm recording my SAP Developer News items, and the phone is now above the monitor, watching the YouTube live stream, and I'll get the chat here. Moin Helmut, and good morning to Hussein as well, and good morning Leo in the house, Leo Van Hengel. So I've got it right next to the camera, so I'm pointing at the camera. So I think it's better because Joe Blower, good morning Joe, good morning, how are you? So I can look at the camera, and I'm sort of, when I'm looking at the chat, instead of me looking down at the chat like this, I can look at the chat up there and be more connected to you. So that's great. So welcome everybody. Oh yeah, I'm looking down. Now I look down, this was just to remind me. I have to apologise to Vladimir Balko. Apparently he sent me a direct message. I missed that. I don't know where it is. It's probably all my fault. So Vladimir, if you're watching, if you're on, Lars, good morning. I wasn't ignoring you or anything. So please send me your address again, or ping me on ping me on Twitter anyway, and then we'll get your address sorted. I'll send you some stickers. If anybody else wants some stickers, I've got some hands-on SAP Dev stickers from the wonderful Ronnie, and I've got some developers.sap.com stickers as well. So this is just something I like to do. Send me your address. I'll write it on the envelope, then I'll delete the address. It's whatever. I'll just go down to the post office, and it's a small pleasure that I have to send you these stickers. And Mohammed Ilyas, good morning to you, and Nico, good morning to Hamburg in Germany. Wonderful. So let's get started. I've got my Stormtrooper waffle. I've got my OAuth ADM hands-on SAP Dev mug with a little hack there, keeps it warm. So I sort of I've spilt. There's obviously some condensation or something. Oh well, it'll be all right. Let's get started. Let's go to the main. My keyboard's not working. My Stream Deck isn't working. There we go. We're going to go through and talk about, and I would love to hear any and all comments, thoughts, ideas as to where this is going, where this sits with you, where it could go, in terms of making use of development containers in general, but more specifically for tutorials in this case. Ronnie says, a small teaser, Mark II of hands-on SAP Dev stickers are in production. Okay, Ronnie, you pinged me the other day and we were talking, you said I've got something. So that's maybe what it is. Thank you, Ronnie. Brilliant. So Ronnie is our go-to superhero for hands-on SAP Dev stickers. Will these become like collector's items, or legacy? I don't know. Anyway, I can normally eat biscuit and talk at the same time, but I just got a piece stuck in my throat then. Anyway, first time I used containers and loved it. Excellent. Thank you, Nico, for letting us know. In fact, so let's get started. Yes. So I want to give you the background. What we're going to do in this hour is just go through these three parts. We'll do it together, and I would love you to interrupt and say, no, you're doing that wrong, or why don't you do this instead, or whatever. Let me know your thoughts. So I love learning stuff, and I love all the prerequisites and like going through them in detail and learning how, right? But what I don't, let me say it the other way. What I do love as well is the I'm going to make this word up. So ready? The throwaway ability, the ephemeral nature of containers. You know, I can set things up. So often in the past, I used to sort of wipe my laptop, you know, Linux laptop, macOS or whatever, and Windows even back in the days, and reinstall everything so it was nice and clean. I used to do that quite a lot, not just laptops, but generally. And I do like a clean environment and a reproducible, rebuildable environment, and that's where I've been using containers generally. John Murray, good morning. Yes, exactly. So Nico is in my in the same headspace as me. Nico says, especially when I mess things up and could just delete it. Exactly. That's the thing. Not only can you sort of redo from start, delete it and start again, but also, you know, you can install different versions of Node, for example, or, you know, whatever, not worrying about how, you know, leaving behind mess and different layers of cruft on your actual host operating system. That's what I was always worried about. You know, for example, I used to use NVM, Node Version Manager, which is great as a solution to keeping, you know, being able to have different versions of Node and keeping it all clean and in your space, your user space, not installing it globally via root and everything. But I think containers are the next level. So Ronnie says, brand new and flashy design, amazing. So, and Ronnie also says, dev containers are amazing. I used it in SAP UI5 development. Jakob Kia has made a great video about that specific stuff. Oh, can you share the link? I still can't remember whether people can put URLs in the chat. Anyway, share it if you can. If not, share it on Twitter. And maybe Nico. Nico, are you an administrator? I think you should have superpowers, and if not, we'll sort that out after this, but you should have superpowers on this channel so you can do things. Normally, when you have superpowers, a little spanner, little wrench appears next to your name, so you haven't got that, so I'm not quite sure what's going on. So Ronnie says, one key benefit of dev containers is that it makes onboarding new developers to a project exactly. It's all about making developers' lives better and simpler and letting them get to the heart of the matter quicker, you know, focusing on stuff. So Ian says, really interesting in containers, just need to understand them more. Don't we all, Ian? Do not we all? Do not we all? Don't we all? Totally. So maybe this is a nice gentle introduction. So let's go through, 2 secs. Okay, thanks, Ronnie. Let's go through, oh yeah, used for AWS SAM development, and really cool. Excellent. Okay, so by the way, all the stuff I've been doing for the past 6, 8, 9, 12 months, whatever, on hands-on SAP Dev in the terminal has been in a container, my dev container. I've been building it up over time. But anyway, so we've got a wonderful mission here. Let me go to the tutorial navigator. This is from, let me make that bigger as well. This is from our friend, hands-on SAP Dev friend, Ivona. And there's a mission. Okay, so if we need a quick reminder on our tutorial navigator, we got tons of tutorials. Those tutorials are either freestanding on their own, or they belong to a group. And groups, and tutorials as well, can belong to a mission. Okay, so here's a mission. You can see that in the top right-hand corner, or even left-hand corner. There's a mission, and the mission has 3 groups. The first group is prepare your development environment cap. The second group, let's just dive into that group as an example, is to create a CAP application in SAP Fiori UI, and that group within the mission contains a number of tutorials, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever, right? Okay, and so on. So that's why in this little image here, I've sort of tried to show where we are here. So we got this mission. That mission has 3 groups. In that first group, which is this one, it's got a number of tutorials. This tutorial, this is where we're at, okay? So this is where we're at. So, Mark, good morning, Mark, as well, and just switched from NVM to FNM, but looking also for the next level. The next level. I don't know, I've never heard of FNM, but maybe that's because I went straight from NVM to containers. I don't know. So Ronnie says, check my Twitter for that shared post with link to video. Brilliant, thanks, Ronnie. Good hack there. Twitter.com. Let's have a look. What's happening? Ooh, hello. Ronnie, there we go. Hands on SAP Dev. Oh, hashtag. There we go. Thank you. So I will share this tweet. Thanks, Ronnie. Well done. Let me go here and put that in the thing. Perfect. Hey Douglas, good morning to you, good afternoon, good evening, etc, etc, etc. Okay, so this is where we are, and Ivona takes us through this wonderful set of prerequisites. Let's go back to the first group, prepare your development environment for CAP. In that first group, really nice gentle introduction, but this is where then we start, where the rubber starts to hit the road. Set up local development using VS Code, and then also create a directory for development. So this is the thing that I wanted to tackle for myself, and maybe for other people as well, if they're interested, because there are 11 steps in this tutorial, okay? And these 11 steps, essentially, are steps you have to go through before you can even start doing the tutorial. Before you can even start learning the thing that you're supposed to be learning or wanting to learn, you've got to go through all these steps. Okay, and this challenge, the challenge is great because you learn by installing this stuff as well. There's no getting away from that. But sometimes you just want to get to the action. Plus, I think it can be a little bit distracting for newcomers. They want to learn stuff, and we don't want to sort of put them off by getting them to spend an hour or two installing all these different things or whatever. And the same thing goes for, I think, what Ronnie said about onboarding new developers to a project. Okay, here, have this container. It's got everything you need for the whole developer and DevOps workflow. It's got your tools, your linting tools, your build tools, your deploy tools. Go. Okay. So there we go. So what time is it? Oh, okay, perfect. It's only 10 past 11. 10 past 11? Sorry, 11 minutes past 8. I'm getting too excited. So this tutorial here gets us to install Git, Node.js, various UI5 tools, and so on. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through and think about how we work through this, how I went about building a container, building an image that the container was generated from with all this stuff in, okay? So what I did was I had a look around. Now, we know that this is a VS Code based development. So I've got VS Code installed locally as well. Code there. I can start VS Code. There it is. Lovely. There we go. Let's do that. Okay. Well, let's close VS Code for now. We don't need VS Code right now. Let's put that there. Perfect. Okay. So we need VS Code, and we need all sorts of different things. And it's going to be a Node.js based development. Okay. So Mark says that FNM should be faster and more lightweight than NVM, and they both work fine for you, Mark. Perfect. The UI5 Fiori extensions into VS Code is awesome. It is. It's amazing. It's amazing. So this is why, I'm not a big VS Code user, but I think that the tools we have for VS Code for SAP development are wonderful. So thinking about this as a Node.js based development, I've clicked around, had a look around. There's all sorts of links in here, and I ended up on this reference page. Okay, this reference page. Let me make the GitHub page a bit bigger. Yeah, let's go big. Let's go big. This reference page is a reference page to various containers that Microsoft has defined for us for use with VS Code, because VS Code supports this devcontainers concept, right? So this is where I thought, yeah, this is a really good place to start. Okay, we've got this image. It's in the MCR, which I'm guessing stands for Microsoft Container Registry. A bit like, Docker Hub, a bit like the GitHub Container Registry. Microsoft's got a container registry as well. Cool. So this is the image. Okay, there's a definition actually of that image, which we can have a brief look at. Base Dockerfile definition. If we have a look at that, we can see what is in this image. Okay, it's based upon Debian 16, Buster, is that big enough? Buster, and all these different things are in it, okay? Most importantly being Node. And interestingly enough, it uses NVM to install Node, okay? So what I said was, okay, well, let's go for the Debian 16, the Buster version, and we'll go for this one here. Oh, that's an image. This one here, which is effectively Node.js version 16, which is the current long-term support version, LTS version, on Debian, and specifically on Debian Buster. Okay, fine. This thing, these image variants will change over time, of course, as Debian evolves and as Node goes to version 18 and whatever, but that's the idea. So Johnny is asking here, not related to devcontainers, but what window manager are you using on your Mac? I use Rectangle, but I liked how your windows automatically resize. Yes, John, let me say, for example, if I create a new terminal window and another one, and I can say hello there, and then make that one the main one, and I can move things around and everything. That basically, I'm using Amethyst. Amethyst is, a real nice sweet spot between things like Rectangle and Spectacle and a fully blown sort of tiling window manager. I did used to use Yabai, which was a newer version of something else I can't remember the name of now. Oh yes, Chunk WM, which was wonderful, but it's a little bit too heavy in configuration, and to use it properly, you have to undo the core security on your MacBook so it can manage the window space for you. And this is a corporate laptop, and I don't want to do that because I'll be, slapped on the wrist, quite rightly so. So Amethyst is a really nice sort of user space, tiling window manager. It's really good. So I've got different layouts. So if I have this here like that's one layout. I've got a full screen layout. I've got a 3-column layout. You can define all sorts of different layouts. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question. Yes, so Ronnie is also an Amethyst user. I would definitely recommend you looking into that, John. And, spending some time getting your keyboard shortcuts how you want them, because then your fingers just, you don't need your brain to change things. Your fingers just do it for you. Okay. Also, by the way, I went on. This is a great question, John. I went on. Where is it? Doc menu bar general. I can't remember. Oh, if I find accessibility. If you go to accessibility and look at the display, I've set reduce motion. So normally when you change spaces on macOS, it goes whoosh, 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 which looks nice, but is frustrating as heck because it takes ages. So if you reduce motion, then when you go and change different spaces, it just goes there immediately, like a proper window manager. Okay, so that's that. So Amethyst seems to be the choice for hands-on SVDev. It is indeed, Christine. It is indeed. Okay, perfect. And thanks for sending John the link on Twitter, Ronnie. Okay, perfect. So let's get started. Talking of terminals, we've got this image. Okay, so this is mcr.microsoft.com. Let's just type it out or paste it out. Okay, we've got this image name here, but there are different variants. Okay, that's what this. Where is it? That's what this thing says here. Okay, these different variants are available for us. So we can say :16 buster. Now I want to say Docker pull. Before I do that, I'll open up a new thing here. Note there, and say Docker image list. Let's make that a little bit bigger. You can also, obviously, I'm doing that as well. Yeah, collapse, expand, big, small, etc. So those are all my images. Okay, so I've got my own dev container image, which is huge at the moment. But anyway, so I haven't got this one here. So let's get rid of that and pull. Okay, so we're doing everything from scratch. And once we've got this image downloaded, let's just dive into it and create a container from it and see what happens. We'll run it, okay? So yeah, I think yeah, 818. We'll get through it. We'll get through it. Perfect. Come on. Nothing up my sleeve. Perfect. And now what we're going to do? Let's just close that and leave that open. Now what we're going to do is run it. Okay. So what we're going to do is say Docker image list. There it is. That one there. So Docker run MC. Well, actually, we'll say, and also remove it when the container ends. When the container process ends. In fact, let's have a look here. So we got Docker container ls, which is the same as ps, right? But those are the old commands. Let's think in terms of images and containers. Docker container. I've got no containers running. Okay. So if I say Docker run, remove it when it's finished. Give me an interactive, some interactivity. Give me allocate a sudo tty, sudo teletype, a sudo terminal, and this is I want to use the mcr.microsoft. Oh, I've got it in my paste buffer, haven't I? : 16 buster. Right. Let's run that. Okay, that should not have to download anything because we just pulled it. And what happens? We end up in a prompt. What sort of prompt do we end up in? We end up in a Node.js prompt. If anybody has used Node, if I type Node, there's the prompt, okay? Notice that this is Node.js version 12. This is the Node.js that's by default right now on my MacBook, okay? Node version 12. Because I don't really work directly on my MacBook anymore. I work in containers. So I don't care about the version of Node locally on my macOS operating system. But that's what a Node prompt looks like, okay? So we're in Node. Now, in fact, let me open up another terminal, docker ps-a. Let's just do a full screen for a second. Make that a little bit smaller because I just hate anything that wraps, as you know. Is that still big enough? Let me know. Hi there. I can't pronounce your name, but hello and welcome. So there, okay, we've got a dev container that I exited, right? But there is our hardcore YALO, okay, name of the container. That's the image it's based upon, and it's been up for 40 seconds, okay? Now, if I exit that with Control D, and then do that again, it's gone because we had that --rm. Remove it when it's ended, okay? So far, so good. However, we also have other stuff in that base Docker image, including bash, including a shell. So we can say, in fact, why don't we do this? Let's do this. Let's open up tmux here. I'm normally working in my container in tmux, but let's use tmux here. Docker container ls -a, right? Let's keep that going. Let's watch there, right? There we go. And let's just open up a new pane and say docker run -rm -i -t, or you see that a lot, -it, because that's just two options together. mcr : 16 buster, but now we can give a command that will be passed to the container once it's created and run. So I'm going to say bash. So now we're inside and there we go. There's the running container on my machine, up 5 seconds, right? Whatever, right? So now, what's my ID? I'm root in this container, and we can see the root. The username there is in the prompt. What's the host name? A random, a random host name, like a hex host name, because this is a container. We're in a container. So now we're ready, really, to start thinking about what we put in this container. This is like a dry run for, we'll do it sort of manually first, but then encode that stuff in a Dockerfile that describes how to encode stuff to go into a container, if that makes sense. So let's flip over to here and say, well, what we're doing here is, what we've done here is define a container. So why don't we encode that definition? Let's open up another prompt here. Now we're back on my macOS, and let's edit a Dockerfile. Let's create a Dockerfile. Dockerfile. There, okay, so that's what we've done. I could have just typed hard-coded at the end here, 16-buster, but using the arg keyword in a Dockerfile gives us the opportunity to override the value of that variable, variant, which is of course used then there at build time. We can say build args and then specify something else if you want, okay? So, just make it a little bit flexible. Okay, but that's all we're going to do for now, right? We're not going to, well, actually, no, maybe we should. Why are we doing this? Why are we, let's write that. Why are we, let's just go out of that for a second, and I'll put up here, Docker, no, let's do that, actually, no, here we go. There we go, watch Docker image list, okay? Why are we putting things in a Dockerfile? Because we can then we can get VS Code to build the image from which a container will be created. So let's do that now. Docker build, call it hands-on image. There, okay? And it's built, okay? So there is that hands-on image. Now notice that it's got exactly the same image ID, 0487, is our Microsoft image that we've already pulled and created a container from to test. Why is that? Because we haven't added any extra things yet into that image definition. We haven't added any, in Docker terms, any more layers, okay? So it's exactly the same. Okay, so that's why the build finished in 0.2 seconds, because it's like, well, there it is. We've got this layer already. There it is. Done. Oh, lots of questions here. Sorry. Ian Stubbing says, anyone know about SAP support for Docker in terms of running ECC or S/4HANA in it? My basis colleagues tell me that it isn't supported. Is it likely to be? That's a good question. However, for production, it's not, but there is, there is an ABAP developer edition, which was Dockerized. I think the last thing I heard about that was that it was taken offline for, there was the log4j thing, and then so the team took it offline to make sure it was all safe and secure and everything, and then I think they found something else that they wanted to get right and fix. So it will be, if it's not already, it will be back available soon. I'm not sure that there is support for Dockerized S/4HANA systems in production. I don't know. It's not my area. I can find out, of course. But definitely for development, it's great. So Neil says, I could imagine that the ABAP environment in BTP is some kind of Docker Kubernetes, but these images are not public. So Neil, yes. Yeah, let's talk about that another time. But yeah, definitely think about Kubernetes, think about Kima. Think that's in the area of steampunk. That's how things work there. ABAP. So Lars says, oh Lars, good morning, Lars. That blog post you posted this morning was great. Thank you. ABAP, well, for development, got to break free from the multi-gigabyte images. We do. Yeah, Dockerizing an ABAP system is a super interesting idea. Yeah, maybe we should talk about that. Maybe we should get somebody on, because I'm not an expert in Dockerizing the ABAP system. I did run a full ABAP basis system on my Sony Vaio picture book back in the day with 640K of memory. I had to really cut it down profile wise. That was a long time ago. Todo, hi. So anyway, so are we still okay? Do we know what we're doing? Do I know what I'm doing? Okay, so we've got that. So we've got this we've landed with the idea of using a Microsoft developed image, which is this one here, right? Highlight that there. That's the one. And we're going to build upon that. Okay. And what we've done is we've created our own image based upon that. And because we haven't added anything else yet, the image ID is the same because it's exactly the same. So let's now start working through, in part 2, the prerequisite details from the tutorial. What we're going to do is let's create a container from this image, this one here. Let's do this, in fact, again, and start working with it. Okay, shall we do that? Let's open up, let's kill that. Let's open up another one here. I don't know, let's just do, I'm trying to have too many things going on at once. Let's just do this, right? So we're going to run, and notice again, that was super fast because the image is already there. So bang, we're in there. Okay, host name, it's going to be a different host name this time, B696, whatever, right? So now, in fact, would it be better if I didn't keep switching back and forth? Let me move that across there. There, how about that? Would that be better if we did that? Yeah, okay, let's keep it all on one screen. And what we want to do is work through this, okay, and add what we think we need to add to the image definition so that when we create a container from the image, everything's in there, okay? So let's go down, okay? So the first thing to do is we need VS Code, okay? We've got VS Code locally. The only thing we need on my local machine is Docker and VS Code. That's the whole point, right? So yeah, VS Code, done, tick. Step 1, completed. Step 2, command line interpreters. We need, well, it talks about different things here, and I have a nice little joke about, command line interpreters, blah, blah, blah. The one true command line interpreter is the only one that's mentioned in, the paragraph, in this paragraph here, right? Which I thought was quite nice. Not the only one that's mentioned, the one that was mentioned the most. Bash, of course. Why would you want anything else? Anyway, so that's that. Now we've got, basically Ivona is saying, pick a term, pick a shell. Bash, ZSH or ZSH, or Z shell, or git bash if you're running on Windows. If you're running on Windows, I definitely would recommend you use the Windows subsystem for Linux because it's awesome. WSL2, that is. Install git. So we don't need to do anything there because we've already got bash. Yeah, we've already got bash here. We're in bash right now. Okay, so that's cool. We got that tick. Let's go back here. What else do we need to do? Install git. Have we got git? Git is probably already installed. There it is, and we can sort of tell. Let's go across to here. If I go back and have a look at the definition here in J, we can see git. We can see it. Git isn't explicitly there, but git is in the base node image. Okay, so it's like turtles all the way down. Images are based upon other images, are based on other images, are based upon other images. And so probably in this node image, or the image that the node image is based upon, we have git. It's like a core thing. Why would you not have git? Okay. So let's go forward again. Okay, there we go. Install git. Going too far. Sorry. Whoop. Okay, install git. Okay. Oh yeah, let's go through here. Install git. Install Node.js. We don't need to install Node.js either because we've chosen an image that the whole point of the image is it's got Node.js. When we ran the image in a raw form, we got a Node.js prompt. Job done. Okay, so actually we can see here, even now, in this prompt, we're in the container. Yep. We launched bash, okay, but we still got access to Node. So if we go into Node, we get Node version 16, okay, which is the same, it's the node in the container, in the image. Okay, so we've got that as well. Job done. Next. Okay, so now we want to say install the SAP UI5 command line interface. We want to be able to say UI5 version, okay? If we haven't got it, so let's install it. npm install global UI5 CLI. Okay, so we're in the container, the current container. We're not sort of we're not burning it into the image definition yet. We'll do that shortly. Let's open while that's installing. Let's open up a new thing here and get ready to sort of permanently burn it into our image definition. Okay, and while we're waiting for that, let's have a look how we do that. Okay, here, look, we have a run command so that Docker, when it's working through the Dockerfile, doing this stuff, adding the layers. Okay, it'll get to the run command and say, oh, right, okay, in order to build the next layer of this image, I need to do this, run node, npm install -g UI5 CLI, okay? So that's what that is. Let's save that. And let's go back to here. Oh, okay, it's installed, fine. So now we should be able to say UI5 version. Great, version 2.14.4, okay, fine. Oh, there, 2.14.4. So we've now, in our container, in our current ephemeral container that will disappear when we finished messing around in this container, we've got the UI5 command line interface. So this is why we need to make sure that we embed or we encode the creation or the installation of UI5 CLI in a layer in our image, that when we create containers from it, it'll have UI5 CLI in it. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so next, install the Cloud Foundry command line interface. Okay, so there's all sorts of, see, this is where I think it's really interesting that the whole dev container concept completely and beautifully neutralizes any of these issues about, well, if you're on this operating system, or if you're on this operating system, or if you're on this operating system, you do that, or this, or the other. And then if you're on macOS, you can install it like this, or you can install it like that. These days as well, I don't know why, but these days as well, Brew is even available for Linux distributions when you already have, perfectly capable package managers. So, I'm not saying that's a bad thing that you have Brew as well, but so there's so many bifurcated decisions to make. Let's throw a lot of, we don't want that to distract us. Okay, so we've got here in the tutorial, we've got different ways of installing it. Okay, so what I did, of course, being on a Linux distribution, Debian, we can go to the instructions. So let's go to the instructions. All we need to do is this, okay, wget let's do it one at a time, okay? In fact, let's copy that, go into here, type that in. Let's just put that, oh, hold on, before I do that, I want my command line editing to use VI features, okay? So let's paste that in. Now I can hit escape, and then, you know, I'm using VI to move it back and forward. Now, because we're already root, we don't really need to use sudo, so I'm going to delete that word. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're grabbing the key, the sort of the secret key thing, not secret key, the public key, and giving it to apt to say, apt, here, we're about to go and get a package from this other repository. Here's the key for it to prove that, you know, etc. Right? So we'll do that. Okay, fine. And now, let's just do that again. Here we go. Now, we can do a sudo with apt-get update. Okay, to bring in, oh, no, I missed something actually. To bring, we need to also bring in all the packages from, let's get this line here, echo, and let's explore what that is doing. Okay. Yep, there we go. So that what we're doing now is we're adding a line pointing to a new package. This is not to do with tutorials or the dev containers. This is, you know, how to install packages and add new package repositories on a Linux distribution using apt. But anyway, again, we don't need to use sudo because we're already root, and we're just showing what that is and also adding it into this file. Okay, there we go. So we just added that line to the file. Okay, there's all sorts of reasons why we'd use T rather than just a standard output redirect, but let's not go into that. Okay, so far so good. There we go. And now we can do an update. And that should now go and look at the, there we go, CFCLI Debian. That's brought information about the CFCLI package into the package manager. So we can now say apt-get install CF. Well, install CF7 CLI. I used to like sticking with 6, but I'm now thinking, you know, I need to be a bit braver and move on to 7 because there's already CF version 8 now, the CLI. So I'm going to install it. Okay. There we go. So now we've got CF. Oops, control clear CF. There we go. So we've now got CF. But what we need to do, we've only got CF in this current container, right? When the container goes, it's gone. So we need to now sort of encode that, as it were. Encode is maybe not the right word. We need to encode that into our Dockerfile. So we're going to add the things that we've just done. There. Okay. Let's just have a look at that. I'm using hadolint, by the way. If you're wondering what these things here, hadolint. It's a really nice Dockerfile linter. Okay, written in Haskell, hence Haskell Dockerfile linter, hadolint, and it works beautifully. It works very much like the shell check. So it's got its own little messages, DL, and then a 4-character thing like shell check, SC, and a 4-character error. Wonderful. So I would definitely recommend looking into that. By the way, have I got a... Oh, I've got a tear in my thing. What's going on? I can't believe it. Nobody's told me that I've got... Move that green screen. Is that better? Ah, dear. How awful. How awful. It's like being in a conversation with somebody and then realising you've got your trousers undone by mistake. Ah, there we go. So, let's hopefully I'm fixing that. I'm just looking at what's going on. There we go. That's better. Oh, please, if anybody sees that in the future, just tell me. Ah, there we go. Right. Okay. So, so where are we? Where are we? Okay. So we've encoded that, and hadolint is saying set the shell. You can see down here. Set the shell option pipe fail. So just in case something happens in a pipe that fails, I'm not going to do that now. Let's not get into sort of Dockerfile linting. We just want to get through and add these things to the Dockerfile. Okay. So there we go. So that's that. Let's save that. Okay. So now, where are we? We are at the stage here where we can say, right, okay, well, we've installed Cloud Foundry. A glitch in the matrix. It is a glitch in the matrix. In fact, I will recover by having a bit of a biscuit. It is indeed a glitch in the matrix. Let me see behind the curtain. So we've got Cloud Foundry CLI installed in our currently running container, but now also we've encoded that installation. We've encoded that layer into the Docker image definition that we're going to use, right? So now add cap tooling, okay? One of my favorite NPM modules of all time. Let's install it. Let's install it into the container. npm install global again, sap cds dk. Okay, so while that's installing, let's go and add it, because we know we're going to need to sort of, permanently encode that installation. So let's add it instead. What we could do, of course, is add another one here, right? SAP CDS DKs. There's no reason why we can't do that, but it's, I think it's good practice to have as few layers as possible, especially when, they're all doing the same sort of thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it to here, SAP CDS DK. Okay, so, we're just doing an install of two things there. Okay. So Ian says, Niels, great point about BTP ABAP. I know a man at SAP to ask about this. Okay, Ian, let me know if you need any connections or anything or whatever. You don't get any further. I might be able to help. I don't know. Maybe I won't be able to help. So Christian says, didn't want to interrupt. Will tell you in the future when I notice. Okay. Please always interrupt, Christian. Everybody is always welcome to and encouraged to interrupt. By the way, let us know, Christian, once you've had a play with it, how your new, is it the Artem Pro that you've bought? Looks really good. I think Dennis Howlett had one of those for his stuff. Anyway. So we've now got it. Have we got it installed? Is it installed? Yes. So now we should be able to say CDS. Yes. Okay. So we've now got the CDS command line tooling, the super powerful CDS command line tool in our container. We've also got it embedded in the Dockerfile. 841. Oh my goodness me. Okay, so let's go now. And what else do we need to do? Install VS Code. We don't need to install VS Code because, of course, we've already got VS Code. That's the whole point. Now, the VS Code extensions. Okay, so we need to install the SAP language support extensions for VS Code. And there's also some other extensions, the Fiori-tools-extension-pack. Okay, so these are extensions for VS Code that makes development on VS Code really comfortable for SAP Fiori and UI5 and also CDS, CAP development, right? We can install those directly into VS Code. But what we want to do is think about these things in terms of, going back to what Ronnie says, onboarding somebody for a given project. That project might be in language X or language Y or language Z with their own specific extensions. So what you don't want to do is pollute, in the nicest possible way, your host operating system based VS Code with all the extensions for all the things. Let's just have the extensions installed sort of temporarily in VS Code while a container, dev container, is running. Okay, so that's where we get down to here. Okay, so again, you can read this thing here, but what we're going to do is, where is it here? VS Code extensions. It talks about VS Code extensions, and what we're going to do is we're going to have a configuration file called devcontainer.json. That's a VS Code specific thing. So in here, we're going to save that, and also devcontainer.json, put that in there. Let's have a look at that. There we go. So in this devcontainer.json, we've got now two things. Okay, we've jumped a little bit ahead. We've got two things. The devcontainer.json is what VS Code reads to say, what do I need to do from a dev container perspective? Oh, right. There is the name of the Docker file where I build the container to create where I build the image to create a container from. And the default Dockerfile name is Dockerfile with capital D. And what you can also tell VS Code to do when it's creating a container for a dev container, say install on the fly this extension. And this extension is our CAP language server protocol extension, CDS language support extension. If I open that there, we can see the name, the technical name is sapse.vscode-cds. So I've added that to the array of extensions in there. That's what we need to do, okay? And in the same way, there's just another line there we want to add because we want to install the Fiori tools extension pack, okay? So I'm just going to add another line. There. Saved. Okay? So, of course, I'm not going to install to think about installing these extensions in the container itself doesn't make any sense. Okay, containers are a Linux container. Okay, these extensions are VS Code specific. So what we do is we put the references to these extensions in the configuration file that the VS Code will read to say, oh, I've got to install these extensions in myself. Right, go. Okay, so Christian is saying, yes, oh, yes, it is the Arta Mini ISO Pro. Excellent. Yes, please make a little video once you have it up and running, definitely. So Neil says, Joe, I think it's because, oh, Joe, did Joe say something? So Joe is saying, not sure if I missed something. Sorry, Joe. But in the Dockerfile, why do the npm install commands need to be prefixed with node-c, whereas other commands apt-get are just executed and run? That's a very good question, Joe. I'm just taking the Microsoft recommended approach. I would normally also have just done npm, install. Okay, let's go back to the development, save that one there. Let's go back to the development container, Dockerfile. I would have normally just done this as well. Right? I would have said run that like that. Okay, we could do that as well. But this thing here is what Microsoft recommended. So I'm just doing that. I'm just taking that. Okay, we could have a play next time and look at the differences. But that's a really good point, Joe. Well spotted. So Neil says, I think it's because npm is a node program itself and prefixing with node-c could be to avoid any path issues and stuff like that. Exactly. That's a really good point, Niels. That is most likely part of the reason why, right? And the apt-get is run as root, but also this node thing is run as root as well with su, okay? Switch user to root. But yeah, I love you folks. You're so observant and asking these really good questions. But yeah, well spotted, Joe, and well answered, Niels and Ronnie. So let's save that. Let's go back to the dev container. Where is it? devcontainer.json. Okay. So that's that. Okay. So install SAP-Fiori-Tools-extension-pack, and that's really all we've got here. Oh yeah. Oh, one other thing. In this container, we know we're going to use Cap, and we know Cap uses SQLite as a really lightweight database. And if we run SQLite, tap complete SQLite, is it SQLite or SQLite 3? I can't remember. SQLite 3, it's not there. Okay, so we'll install SQLite as well because we have this sort of meta prerequisites. The prerequisites for the prerequisites, you need to make sure you got SQLite installed. Okay, on Mac, here's my MacBook host name. There we go. Right, SQLite. I've got SQLite installed. Right, but I haven't got it installed in this container. So what we'll do, and what I'll say here is, let's just add SQLite to the apt-get install. Okay, easy. So let's go back here, and there we go. And there we go. And SQLite, where is it? SQLite. Okay, and that's that. So that really is everything we need to do. So let's go out of this CDSDK. Is that all we need? I think so. Yeah. Was that all the ones? Let me just set up local developments, Fiori Tools extension packs. Oh, Yeoman. Yeah, we want Yeoman as well. Okay. So let's just add Yeoman. There. Oops, if I can spell it right. Yeoman. Okay, so install Yeoman. So we get everything we need. So let's save that, exit that. We'll go away from the container, no more container. And now let's say build hands-on image. In fact, what I should do, maybe what I should do is call it the same name so we know, so when you see this video, let's do this, yeah, let's do that. So let's call it the same thing, why not? Okay, tutorial image test. Yeah, well, do we want to call it that? By the way, while it's building, what time is it? 8:40. Oh my goodness, yes. Okay. So Ian is saying roadmap for BTP ABAP states in Q2 2022 that the infrastructure moves from Cloud Foundry Bosch to Kubernetes. I will mention this no more. Be out of the way and take offline. That's okay. Mention everything, anything and everything. NPM as a root can give trouble with e-access and permissions. It can, Nico, but when you're in a container, you're the only person and you're root if you want to be root. Okay, that's the thing that it took me a while to get my brain around. It's not uncommon to embrace root in a container. Okay, because the containers are ephemeral and everything, right? Anyway, okay, let's not rebuild it. Because of course this the installation of these npm, these node modules is taking, a few seconds. So let's just keep it as, what do you call it? Hands-on image, that'll do, okay? So while that's working, while that's building, what we're going to do, let's have a look at what we're going to do. I still don't want to bring in VS Code yet. I should install Easy UI 5. Okay, let's put that in as well, shall we? Let's go to here and say vi Dockerfile. Is it called Easy UI 5? Easy-UI 5? What's it called? -UI 5? Let's add that. Okay, so next time we build it, we'll have Easy UI 5 in. Okay, no worries, Joe. No need to apologize at all. Okay, so we've now got Docker image list. There it is, hands-on image, okay? And notice now the image ID is not the same as the Microsoft's base image because, of course, we've added more layers to it, right? Okay, so now, what do we want to do? We want to give the image a go. Okay, so that's what we did here. Docker run, run that. Oh, sorry, not that. What do we call it? Hands-on. I can't remember. What do we call it? Hands-on image. Okay, hands-on image. There we go. So now, have we got CF? Yes. Have we got SQLite? Yes. Have we got CDS? CDS? Yes. And so on, right? We've got Yeoman. Yes. Oh, Yeoman? Permission. Well, let's leave that for now. I'm not sure. Yeoman. Oh, maybe it's because it's trying to do something that it's not supposed to do. Yeoman version. Give me the version. Yeah, 430. Okay, fine. Oh, generator EZ05. Okay, perfect. Let's add that then to the Dockerfile. VI Dockerfile. Bong, 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 bong. Generator. Like that. Generator EZ05. Let's add that as well. What time is it? 8:52. Yeah, let's build it. Build hands-on image. Let's do that. Now, what we're going to do while it's building is do the last bit. Move into part 3. Oh, hello. That's us. And really think about where we are while it's building. What we've got now is a Dockerfile with instructions to build something that's based upon Microsoft's Node.js image, but we're adding our own things. We're adding CF and we're adding some SQLite as well, and we're also adding some lovely UI5 and CDS cap tools and Yeoman. And through the wonder of the devcontainer.json configuration, we're also telling VS Code when it starts to add, come on, DJ Brain, to install some extensions. Okay, so far so good. That's the e-access. Okay, well we can dig into that. You can run Yo as a node user. Yes, you can. Also, you can also specify I want to be the node user in a container. You can use a container. In fact, down here, this is exactly where we're coming to. Remote user node. Okay, so let's just copy that and create something in there. List cat into dev container. Let's replace that with that because all of it dev container there. All we've now done is added these two new things. Okay, we want to be the node user, not the root user. Okay. And also we want to expose port 4004 because as everybody knows, cap listens on 4004 by default, which is wonderful. Okay, there's a story about why it's 4004, if anybody remembers. We talked about that in a previous, long time ago, live stream episode. So we're now almost ready to try things out. There's also that tutorial there is in the context of this group. And the final thing we want to do is create this directory for development. So this is that thing. It's not really about setting up prerequisites for tools, but let's just create this thing. Okay. So let's go out of here. Let's make this directory. In fact, what we want is to have something that's going to end up like this. Cap tutorial. So make dir cap. Oh, in fact, make dir cap tutorial. Let's do this thing here. There we go. Cap tutorial. Make dir cap tut cp app. The minus p says, create the directors, the parent directories do not exist type thing. There we go. And That's that. Okay, so we've got that. So let's go into cap tutorial. Let's go into cp app. And now I'll say make the dev container. And then also let's, there we go. Let's move Dockerfile and into here. No, not there. Never mind. And let's do that again with devcontainer.json. Now let's move the Dockerfile and devcontainer.json into devcontainer. Now we've got tree, show everything, cp app. Okay, so now we've got this empty, what's it called? Directory. Ready for our project, ready for our actual tutorial. Maybe 5 minutes, that's cool. Ready for our tutorial. And we've got a special devcontainer directory that VS Code will notice when we open our cp app directory up with VS Code. It'll go, oh, there's a dev container. Oh, let's have a look at the dev container. Let me see what happens. Let me see what I have to do. Okay. So I'm going to now say code and point code to say open that directory in code, right? So let's do that. And let's go switch to full screen, see what happens. There we go. Here's code. What is going to happen? What is going to happen? Did I do things right? Come on, code. Come on, code. Let's have a drink of coffee. Oh, look. Folder contains a dev container. Reopen in dev container. That's what we want. And that's what the blog post describes as well. Starting dev container. Show log. Let's press that. What is happening? This is what's happening. Okay, so it's now building this container and then creating building this image, and if it doesn't exist already, creating a container from that image. And then also now at this point here, it's installing the extensions. Okay. Well, see if we go to the extensions here. Extensions, remote containers, Vim, reload required. Okay, fine, whatever. It's going to do something. Let's see. Okay, it's successfully installed. Okay, so now, what this thing tells us to do, or what I did, was I said, well, I'm going to jump down here. Let's open up a terminal in a minute, but I'm just looking for this bit of, here's our schema.cds. Okay, so we're now in the tutorial. Okay, we've now dove into the tutorial. So we're now saying, okay, we've got everything ready. Imagine you're a person now, you've just walked up, you've just been given the .devcontainer directory with those two files, Dockerfile and the devcontainer.json, and you start VS Code with a brand new, fresh directory, and you can go, right, let me go and start this, okay? So I can say the CDS init. So let's go into our VS Code and say, let's open up a terminal. There we go, look at that, we're in a container. We're in a container in VS Code. So I can say CDS, is that big enough, by the way? CDS init. And look at that. The CDS command is available to us, even though, theoretically, it doesn't exist on my macOS, right? It's in the container. And it's also created, not in my container, but in my local directory, cp app, it contains all these wonderful things, which it normally does, okay? So what else do we need to do? Let's go and let's have this thing here. Let's minimize that, actually, get rid of that out of the way. There we go. There, right, fine. Final thing. What are we doing? Oh yes, we got the thing here. I'm not describing this very well. Oh yeah, CDS watch. So CDS watch. Look at that. That works as well. Okay. So now we're doing normal cap development, which is brilliant. And let's create in this DB folder here, new file, schema.cds. Okay. I'm going to pay. Oh, your application running on port 4004 is available. Amazing. Open in browser. And it's there already. So again, the really cool thing. Oh, but before we talk about that, let me paste that in. Why is that color coded? That's color coded because of the cap extension, the CDS language server extension for VS Code that's been installed on the fly for this particular dev container specific session. It's all there. Not only that, because of our port forwarding to say, make port 4004 in the container, make that available to outside the container. VS Code is running on my macOS. CDS and cap is running inside the container. My Chrome browser is running on macOS, but my Chrome browser is pointed to localhost, which is my MacBook. But no, it's not, because Docker is forwarding requests to port 4004 on the macOS to port 4004 in that container. So we're now set up. Imagine, we started 2 minutes ago with this devcontainer.json and the Dockerfile. As a new learner, or as somebody being onboarded onto a project, to go back to Ronnie's point, and whammo, we're developing in the tutorial straight away. So that really is, it's 9 o'clock, that really is what I wanted to show you. Let me know leave a comment on the blog post or any of the 3 blog posts. That's more or less it. Helmut, off topic, if somebody's a dev in any project, please contact me. Okay, Helmut, yes, Helmut, brilliantly said there, well done. And if you don't want to install the extensions but only recommend them, you can use extensions.json in VS Code. Fantastic tip from Ronnie there. Wises, you're welcome. Are the contents of Workspace CPI persisted to the host system via volumes? Yes, they are. That's exactly right, Niels. I've got to go as well, Christian. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining, and have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. And oh my goodness me, sorry for talking so fast. But bye for now.